So a sorority is suing their university because they allowed this dude who says he's a woman into their sorority, even though he wasn't allowed to be in there. And Megyn Kelly brought these women on with their lawyer to talk to them about the experiences they were having with this man.
I was pledged into the sorority in fall of 2020. And at that time, we were assured that there was no open process for those that are not biologically female. And so I would not have joined the sorority to begin with if I knew that this is what it was going to come to.
But as someone who had no idea it was happening to begin with, so we were caught off guard. That's just a scary situation. Then the comments made to us by the senior members were very scary and intimidating. We were literally told, if you don't agree with this, if you don't like this, your values don't align with Kappa's and you should just leave.
Because it seemed like people were utilizing their power within the chapter in order to further their own agenda.
You have these individuals at the high levels of the fraternal organization at headquarters pushing a woke agenda onto a group of young women, when they in fact do not go home every night to a strange man in their home that's 6'2" and over 250 pounds, yet they projected this onto these girls to have to live with every single day.
I'm so freaking frustrated with this whole, oh my God. When
Continue.
the whole Me Too thing happened, it was believe all women, protect women.
Why are we going to believe all women always, though? I've known the shadiest people I've known are usually women.
Right, but I'm just saying that it went from believe all women to shut women up if they feel uncomfortable.
I haven't lived with a man. I've said this before on the podcast. I'll say it again. I haven't lived with a man since I was 18 years old. That is 6 years of my life. There's a reason.
Most women have been harassed or catcalled at least once in their life. And they're going into a sorority expecting it to be all biological women. Now, majority of women, we have an understanding amongst each other. It's a silent understanding. Even lesbians get it. Like, when we're undressing in front of each other, we show each other respect. Like, I don't want anyone looking at my body. I don't care if you're a woman, you know. We're all self-conscious about our bodies, so we give each other respect and we don't stare because it's fucking creepy.
No one says
Lesbians
anything
don't
like that.
even do that to other women. We give them the respect because we want the respect back, okay? But guys like this who are allowed to self-identify as whatever gender they feel like and are allowed in women's spaces, they're allowed to jerk off in front of these women, have erections, get aroused, and these women are supposed to be fine with it or else they have to get mental help.
The most anyone's ever said to me in a locker room about anything to do with my body is the tattoo on my shoulder. I like your tattoo. That's it. That's what it's like in a women's restroom, like locker room restroom. Mm-hmm. No one looks, no one stares, no one says anything. I came out when I was in high school, and my then girlfriend was in my gym class. We changed in the same locker room. They knew we were dating, and no one ever told us that we had to change periods or anything like that, and someone has to go in another room. You know why? Because we both didn't do anything fucking weird. We acted like girls in the locker room.
See, when I was in high school, girls thought because I was gay that I had a crush on them and that I was staring at them. And it was just so ignorant. As if I would do that. As if because they found out I'm gay, now all of a sudden my personality is going to change and I'm going to be completely different and be vile, like a vile man.
They think you're going to be like a man in the locker room.
Drooling over them. No, being a lesbian doesn't change the fact that I'm a woman and I still have respect for women the way that I have respect for myself as a woman.
You grew up with this experience of always having that scenario. You were always changing with the girls. Mm-hmm. If there was any situation where you were making them uncomfortable, it would have come up by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The allegations in the complaint are shocking. Here's one of them, alleging that he behaved inappropriately around the sorority sisters on numerous occasions, including once when Artemis, quote, had an erection visible through his leggings. Other times, he had a pillow in his lap. There are similar stories going on about him watching the girls getting an erection, watching a girl change her top. She wasn't wearing a bra. He was staring at her. Later that day, he appeared sexually aroused during the incident. Can you give us some idea of what that felt like for you?
It's a weird, gut-wrenching feeling that every time I leave my room, there's a possibility that I'll walk past him in the hall. And it's never a pleasant encounter, and that's the scary part.
He sat in the back of the sorority yoga class for an hour in December watching the assembled young women flex their bodies. I cannot imagine what it was like for you gals, Hannah, in there dealing with this obvious man. But
you're putting someone in a sorority with a whole bunch of females, someone who has an incredibly high sex drive with women. What do you think is going to fucking happen? Just because they say that they're a woman, all of a sudden their personality is going to change and their chemicals are going to change and they're not going to be like a horny, disgusting slime ball? No, that doesn't change. What changes is that everyone else has to agree with that they're a woman, even though everyone knows it's a fucking dude.
It's way beyond the sex drive thing, because even women with high sex drives would not make women that uncomfortable.
Because it's respect. These people, like this dude who was pushed his way into the sorority, he thinks I belong here. It's not, I want them to accept me. It's no, you have to accept me. I'm here. Deal with it.
Acceptance used to be a peaceful thing where it was like, I accept you because you're my equal, regardless of how you are in A, B, C, or D. But now acceptance is something that's forced on people. And I don't understand why. Because it's not really acceptance if you're forced to by a law or by their screaming to accept them. That is forced exposure, actually. Forcing exposure does not equal acceptance. A lot of them ended up saying that they left. Like, a lot of those girls left. And can you blame them?
No.
It's not about fighting the fight if they don't belong here. It's about my safety at that point.
And the amount of gaslighting here is ridiculous by women. The school that is allowing this man to do whatever the hell he wants, their gaslighting is tremendous, because these women will say, I'm a feminist, I believe women, I respect women, and I'm for women and women's rights, unless they disagree with the agenda, and then we have to shut them up. If it was a straight guy doing this, the head women would be on their side. But because it's a guy who says he's a woman, all of a sudden it's a fucking different story. So you're telling me that everything changes because this dude says he's a woman. Now, these women's feelings don't matter. They're how they feel around this guy being very uncomfortable, feeling very violated. That doesn't matter anymore just because this dude says he's a woman. He's allowed to violate these women with his eyes, with his walking around with his boner, and they're supposed to get help because there's something wrong with them for feeling logically uncomfortable. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You're really trying to fuck women's heads up. Women have a natural response. It's instinctual. If we feel uncomfortable, it's an instinct. We're told to believe it in order to protect ourselves. And now these other women who are at the head are saying, hey, don't believe that instinct. It's just there's something wrong with you. You're supposed to accept people. You, bitches. Those are the biggest misogynists in the game right now, are women who say they're feminists.
I'm taking into account all the women. I don't know the statistic. I don't have my phone. I can't look it up. But there's a high percent of women who have admitted that they are victims of sexual abuse or whatever by a man. And I just want to point out that it's a majority of women have been either sexually assaulted or molested or whatever the case is. And now you're forcing someone into their space who they're fearing due to those occasions that happened. So the Me Too movement's basically gone. It doesn't matter. So all the women that were afraid to come out during the Me Too movement are now even more afraid to come out because you forced men into their spaces. But to sit there and force a man into my space, not knowing my past, not knowing all the men who've come into my life and treated me like a doll.
Any man who says he's a woman, who thinks he's entitled to women's spaces, and who tries to force his way in by being an asshole, that's what we call a predator. That's not a woman, because a woman doesn't do that. Only creepy men do that.
What does he
and
gain
just
to
because
benefit?
they say they're women means that he's not a creepy man anymore?
So if you're saying that you actually are a woman and it's not just an autogynephilic kink, then you would be taking estrogen, right?
That's the problem with self-ID. It allows creeps to get away with this shit, and for psychopathic, narcissistic females who say that they're feminists to support it and think they're doing good. Wow. What kind of retarded bitches do we have running the system?
I think this all stems from I think a lot of this comes from the fact that everyone lives online. And so online you can set your gender to whatever you really want, and you can live out this life that you can imagine in your head, but that's not how real life is. But they're trying to make real life like it is online, where you can hide away and say, I'm a woman, but you're not. But you're not. When I lived with that one person, her brother would sit there in his room all day on his PlayStation, all day, talking like a girl. And his mom used to yell at him, stop screaming like a girl. And now he's trans. And all of it stemmed from him telling people online that he was a girl. That's all I know. And I just fucking keep thinking about that shit with these people. He's one of those, I would lock my bedroom door at night because I was terrified of this person. He kicked a pregnant woman in the stomach and induced labor. And now that's a woman, apparently.
No person with a real brain would think that that was a woman. There's just a lot of fear-mongering going on.
And when fear-mongering, yeah. Do you think it stems from people having too much freedom online? What do you think it really stems from?
Uh,
I think it's fear mongering.
I also think that it has a lot to do with women being easily manipulated by being emotionally manipulated. When it comes down to, we all know, because they've told us, that these transgender people, not transsexuals, transgender people, have a mental illness, right? So, my question to you all is, why in the would you think women and little girls would want any mentally ill man getting into a space where we have to expose our genitals for a small period of time?
They're
just curious.
sleeping in the same house. They are bathing in the same rooms. They are living together. And that exposes literally every worst trait in someone.
A man's feelings do not trump the safety of a woman. Like and subscribe.